Joanna's going to do all the talking, which is always good. Frankly, she's much better than me. But she asked me just to say a few words at the start. I'm slightly privileged in that I arrived in the middle of one of Joanna's projects, one of the things she's going to talk to you about now. And I'd like to think that I arrived in a kind of very objective fashion, as you often do in a new job, and you turn up, don't you, full of new ideas, full of all that objective stuff, ready to kind of get to grips with your new business. And I sat down in one of my very first meetings, and Mr. Lockwood will smile when I say this. I can see him already out there in the audience lurking, ready to kind of lay out the things that I felt we might be able to improve on as a business. And the first slide I saw showed me a net promoter score of plus 67. Now, I come from the telecoms, media and technology business. Any positive number on a net promoter score in that sector is a good number. Plus 67 is inconceivable in my kind of 20 years of history. So I was rather surprised, and you would think that that would give the business a lot of confidence about the fact that it was doing things very well from a customer experience perspective. But in fact, we'd commissioned Joanna to give us a really objective point of view. And there are two really important points that it's just worth sharing with you. However objective I thought I was, having people looking in from the outside is a different degree of objectivity, even for a new boy. And the value that that added, I think, for our internal processes and our ability to get to grips with what we really needed to tackle and to prioritise our work appropriately was inconceivable, I think, at the start of the project. It's very, very important to us. The other important point about Joanna and the team that worked with her on our project is that they all knew what they were doing. So they all came to us as knowledgeable customers, but more importantly, I think, they all came to us with a degree of stubbornness. So none of them were about to roll over and be told, actually, we know that's not brilliant, but really it's fine and we can live with it. They fought their corner, and that's our customer's corner, really strongly. And again, that added a huge amount of value to our internal debate. And I wanted to share those two things with you before I let Joanna explain how she and her team do it in their own inimitable fashion. So that's all I'm going to say. You'll be delighted to hear. I'm going to sit down, shut up, and let Joanna get on with it.
Thank you, David. He can introduce me every time. That's great. So there's going to be no, this is all qual, okay? This is all deep qualitative research. It's what people think, what they found, what came back. So I'm not going to talk stats to you, and I'm not going to talk numbers, but I will say, right when we get to results at the end, there's one very amusing story that I will share with you. So this is some of my background. I wasn't at Procter & Gamble for 20 years. I was there for 2. Otherwise, I think I'd be about 105 now. So I've been in as a client in some of the larger direct marketing agencies around. So I was with Reader's Digest. I was at Which for 10 years. And then I ran 3 European businesses, HCI, Time Life, and IMP. So I was a client for 25 years. I then set up our business, and what we focus on is the customer. We're all about the customer. So however you have touch points with your customer, inbound, outbound customer service, that's one major part of our business. Another is consultancy, where we'll go in and help if you're going through change or simplification, need mentoring. And then the third and key part of what we do is customer experience. And this has been a growing area for our business, and we work with companies like yours. We work with charities. It's interesting, Laura, that you're going to start reaching out to charities. I think that's a really good place to go. And last year we did a huge project with ECB. I had to attend the second day of every Ashes test. What a shame that was. Had to go to every ground, first-class ground in the country, to a 2020 match. And we also went to all the one-day international. So it was an amazing summer of sport for us, where we looked at things like the loos and the queues and everything else. So it was fascinating. So customer engagement is crucial. Here are some of the clients that we've worked with. As I said, ECB, Donald Russell, Laithwaites, Bupa, the National Autistic Society, Kokoza, which is an online fashion brand owned by our Fayed, Compton and Woodhouse, National Animal Welfare Trust, Dovetail. We're just starting more work than other charities. So we've had a whole range of clients, and this is just an example of some of them. So what is customer experience? When I was a client, we talked about customer experience, but we didn't mean that. We meant customer journey. We meant what we did to the customer. This is what we do, this is where they go. That's the customer journey, because it's you looking from the inside out. What we're talking about is customer experience. So that's the customer looking at you from the outside in. And they don't always have the view of your business that you think they do. So why is it important? Why do we care now about customer experience? Why are we all talking about it? Why has it changed? Or you should be all talking about it. My grandfather ran a shop in Bath 100 years ago, give or take a few years. He knew everybody that walked through the door. He knew their families, he knew what they liked, he knew what was happening. He had to know all about them. It was really important. Then for 100 years, I worked for brands like Procter & Gamble. We didn't really care, frankly. You had a bad experience, you went down the pub, told a few people, that was it. It's no longer like that. Now, although he's sadly incarcerated, I think just down the road, we have WikiLeaks, we have the hacking scandal. You can no longer keep things quiet. It gets out and it gets out quickly. The change to broadband, to social media, to all of us accessing computers. There may be 18% of people without computers at home. Oh, that's a statistic, I didn't mean to use any of those. But nonetheless, we all find out now in a way that didn't happen for a very long time. We have to care what customers think because they share it and they share it fast. So things have changed. We're back to my grandfather's time, only we don't know all of our customers by face. They are bits of data, but those bits of data are people, and that's what we must never forget, and we do, sadly, forget that. And customer experience affects business. So the largest global players in the mobile market, Motorola, BlackBerry, and Nokia, 5 years ago. Where are they now? Where are they now? And that's how quickly things can change. And I worked for Procter & Gamble. When I went into Procter & Gamble, it was a huge global brand. We had the biggest database in the world. And we've been going for a long time. It'd been going for 50 years when I joined it in the UK. And within a very short period of time, we lost that. And we lost it because we didn't change. And we didn't understand that the world around us was changing. Customer experience drives businesses. Most people now use customer experience, interestingly, as David talked about the Net Promoter Score, as part of how they report their results. So 92% of companies now include customer experience as a strategic priority. UK businesses lose a total of $15.3 billion each year when customers defect and abandon their purchases as a direct result of poor customer experience. And a good customer experience causes customers to spend 40% more at the checkout. Now, I make no excuse for being an advocate for customer experience because if you get it wrong, it doesn't work. You will lose your customers and you'll lose them fast. I don't care what modelling you do, what everything else happens. If you don't give your customers a good experience, they will leave you. So what do we do as a business? We've built our own clear model over the years, and this is what we use when somebody like Laithwaites appoint us. We talk to the business about how their business works and are there areas in particular that they're concerned about. It might be delivery, it might be pricing, it might be one of your channels. We ask them if they have any major concerns. We also ask them what their customers look like so that we can recruit shoppers who look like those customers. We then look for the company through all channels, which includes social media, inserts off the page, anything you want. We inquire, we buy, we bad debt, we act like customers, and then we monitor what the relationship's like that you build with your customers going forward. And at the end, we give a full report. But going through, you'll notice that we have alerts. So if we find something that's business critical, and having run businesses, we understand what's business critical. If we find something as we go through this process that's business critical, we'll report that back to the business. I have never yet done an audit where we have not found something that has been business critical. It might be permissioning, it might be that your offline offer isn't reflected online, it might be the pricing's wrong, there's all sorts of things, but we have never done one that's not been business critical. This started, interestingly, for BCA, which some of you will remember, which was a book club. They came to me and said, we're getting huge numbers of complaints to the DMA. Do you think you can find out why? And I said, well, yeah, I guess I can do that. I've no idea how I'm going to, but I reckon I can figure it out. And that's where this started. And what we found out with BCA was they'd offshored their customer service. They calculated they could save £2 million a year if they took their customer service to India, so they did. And they were right, they saved £2 million a year. In a year, they lost half their customer base. It halved from 1.2 million, that was obviously more than just actives, down to 600,000. They never recovered. That's why you need to understand what your customers think. So I'm just going to take you through the steps that we go through to do our audits. The first thing we do is planning and preparation. Any of us would do this. We define our target audience, identify the areas of business. We also nominate 2 or 3 competitors. It's important to know what your competitors are doing. Sometimes they steal a march on you. So when we were working with Bupa, we looked at we looked at AXA PPA, we looked at Simply Health, we looked at something else, I can't remember what the third one was, just to see how they were marketing differently in their current marketplace. And it was interesting because Bupa, in terms of recall, everybody knew Bupa, they knew who they were, they were preeminent brand. But some of the new entrants to the market had not had any of that legacy stuff, so they'd managed to move more quickly, so they could learn things from what some of their competitors were doing. And so I suspect can many of the people in the room. We then agree the journeys that you want to conduct. They need to be online, offline, do a combination, how do you want us to do it? And we'll agree those journeys, but then we let our auditors, as they go through their journeys, follow their noses. Because again, you might think that somebody looks at an off-the-page ad and goes online or phones or does whatever, but you'll be surprised. I'm amazed at where our auditors go once they follow the journeys themselves. And I have to say, it was interesting hearing the stats from Royal Mail. I've never known anybody do a journey and not go online as part of that process. It doesn't mean they order online, but as part of the process, they'll check it out online because they just want to have a look, whatever age they are. And I think I'm probably now absolutely stuck in the grey market, so it doesn't matter how old you are. We search and inquire. Again, we go through every channel. So we use social media a lot. If it's a business, we look at LinkedIn. We use all of the usual channels. So we look at direct mail, which is still terribly important, inserts off the page, everything that you use we'll look at. And this is one of the outcomes. So I did a talk to the London partners of KPMG because they wanted to try and understand a bit about customer experience and what does it mean, because their clients are asking them about it. And they wouldn't let me audit them before I talked to them, which was quite interesting. So I thought I'd just look at their website, just going to see what it says. So I clicked on KPMG and their website came up, and before I had a chance to do anything, I got a pop-up which said, "Welcome to KPMG. We value your feedback. Would you like to help us make our website better?" Yes, I'd like to. No, thanks. I'd only just got there. I didn't want this pop-up. It meant nothing. I couldn't help. It was already messing with my journey. And so that took me 2 seconds to come to. As I say, and when I said to them, this happened, they went, "Oh yeah, well, we're changing our website." Everybody always says that. But that's what happened when I had a look at it. What else have we found through the search and inquire part of our journeys? Google search terms often don't find your company. So if you ask clients to search for Donald Russell, they won't search for Donald Russell, for instance, because they don't know who Donald Russell is. They'll search for meat online, or they'll search for wine online, or they'll search for a charity that they are interested in, but they don't always know the name. And what they think are the intuitive words for them to use may not be the words that you think are intuitive for you. So unless, when we did the very first Donald Russell one, unless you put direct meat, it didn't come up high up in the rankings. Most people don't use the word direct out in the real world. They don't know what it means. And so, you have to think about what do your customers want. Online pages don't reflect online offers, designs, and terminology. And it's very confusing as a customer if you see an ad in a paper and you follow that link online and suddenly the ad's not there, or you use different terminology, or you ask for very strange codes. And I'm sure David won't mind me telling you that this is their code. So this was the code that they asked customers to enter when they went online to respond to an ad in the, what's the listings thing called? Radio Times. So the offer code, yeah, exactly, that's why I couldn't remember it. So the code they had to enter was F8R1A. That is so difficult online for so many people, ones and L's and I's and all the rest of it. And it meant nothing. It doesn't say RT, it meant nothing to them. And I'm sure the reason that this is happening is because they're generated automatically within Laithwaites. And it didn't matter in the past because most people sent posts back and you scanned it and you figured it all out. Now you're asking people to enter these codes online. It needs to mean something, or else they don't know why they're doing it and they get it wrong. And it took one of my auditors an hour to order because they couldn't get this sorted out. There's too much choice on pages and navigation's unclear. Just see how people go through your site. Sold out items are still on the sites. People understand that you sell out, but online they don't expect you to have sold out. They expect you to take it down when it's sold out, not just leave it and say sold out. They get confused by that. And the filters are not always effective, if you can find the filters. I did a search yesterday for somebody as a competitive search. I couldn't even see the search box because it was black on black, which seems a bit strange to me, but there you go. And one of the clothes companies that we did, you couldn't filter the clothes by size. Isn't that fundamental? If you want a size 12 dress, you want a size 12 dress. You don't want to filter it by colour. It was a basic filter and it wasn't there. Lots of our agents get held on the phone for a long time. They're not greeted with a company name or the agent name, and they hate IVR. It just doesn't work well for people. And then one of the other issues is often true is it's difficult to find contact numbers and phone numbers. It doesn't mean that people necessarily want to use it, but they feel reassured if there are phone numbers available. And I don't know about most of you, but Amazon, who I absolutely refuse to buy from now, but anyway, Amazon, you want to complain to Amazon, it's a nightmare. It takes you ages to find a phone number and ring them up, and you have to threaten them hugely once you do. It's very annoying. Make sure that you have your phone number accessible. So buying, we buy, as I said, by phone, online, face-to-face, by post, by text, and by tablet. What things have we found at this stage of our journey? Permissioning statements are often incorrect or complicated. I'm sure lots of you know that, but it's important to get them right, because even if you don't understand them, I can tell you my 19-year-old knows more about permissioning statements than probably most people. They get it. Young people really understand what you're doing with their data. So it's very important to understand that you can't kid them. The back button doesn't take you back to the previous page. How annoying is that as a customer? And how often does this happen? So often you hit the back button and you end up somewhere completely different. So frustrating. The registration process is too lengthy. Customers have to go through too many screens to get to the buying point. You have very quirky password rules. You've got to use 8 letters, some capital, some number, some thing that I've never heard of. And nobody ever remembers it again. Make it easy for people. If they need to put in a password, which is fine, make it easy for them. I know we all use the same one all the time. That's what we do. I mean, I'm sorry, that is what we do. But, don't make it so you can't use that same one, or else they come back to your site and they can't get in and they get frustrated. The Buy Now button is difficult to find. Difficult to believe, but it's true. The continuing shopping button is difficult to find. You get to checkout and you think, oh, I'd really like to go back and buy something else. Well, how do I do that? There's no go back and continue shopping. Capture is impossible for lots of people to do. I had to fill in a capture the other day when I was trying to buy something. It took me 5 goes to do it. And for people, particularly as they get older or if they're dyslexic, and I am dyslexic, capture is a nightmare because you don't know what they're asking you to put in. So again, if you don't have to use it, don't. And if you do, think of other ways to get customers to go through it. As I said, out-of-date offers are still on the website. And time checkouts, which many companies use, cause real stress for consumers because they think, oh my God, I've got 10 minutes left. Oh, and they all panic. And then they don't do things right. And then the back button doesn't work. And then they've got to fill in capture. And then they've got to create a password. And oh my God, I can't do it. Don't use time checkouts unless you've got to. It doesn't make people work quicker. It just makes them panic. What other buy outcomes have we found? Agents are poorly briefed. Customers have a long wait and or get cut off. It's surprising how often that happens. Credit card details, and this is a big issue for lots of people, credit card details get repeated back to the customer out loud, including the CVS number, the 3-digit code on the back. That's frightening for us as customers. We don't want everybody to hear our card numbers being read out. You need to make sure that doesn't happen. For some organisations, you can't even buy by phone, and I think that is frustrating. That the online clothes company that we dealt with, they at that point did not have any phone facility at all. And I'm staggered at how rarely most people upsell on any given journey. No, you don't offer customers anything else. You don't take them anywhere else. I find that very surprising, because that's they've just bought something, they're happy, they're with you. Isn't there anything else that you can do? And I think something that's very important for this group today is delivery. Delivery unexpectedly has caused my auditors huge issues. Often the delivery costs are hidden, and we did a journey yesterday, and one of the companies we did a journey for was going to charge you £25 to deliver on a Saturday. Oh, how could that be faintly true? But it was. And the delivery date the day you actually get your delivery, doesn't match the email promise, or it ignores the delivery instructions that you gave them, and you're completely stuck. So you fall over whatever it is that's being delivered to you, because it's sitting on your doorstep as you walk out of the door or whatever, and it's in full view of the road. So if you're going to give your customers options about their delivery, make sure that you follow them. And also make sure that all of the bits of communication you give them via the website, via email, via the contact centre, match up with what your delivery company is giving them at the end of the day. And that's where all of the things we do falls apart, when you give it to a third party and it doesn't get delivered as you wish it to. And if Royal Mail is sitting in this room, I do wish they would allow people to also give preferences to them about what they want to do with the parcels, because it's dead frustrating that you can't tell them. Although they are getting better, but it's still frustrating. Customer service. This is a very old stat, and it changes slightly, but it kind of works. 91% of unhappy customers will never return. Just think about that, 91%. These are the people that you targeted today or yesterday. These are the key people you want to buy from you. And if you upset them, 91% of them will never come back. But if you resolve their problem fast and effectively, 85% will buy again. This is why customer experience is crucial. And at the end of the day, they don't care whether a different person's delivering your stuff. They don't care if your contact centre's outsourced. They don't care about any of that stuff, or there's 3 different businesses working as one. To them, you are the brand. You are the people that are responsible for delivering it. Relationships. How do you build relationships once you've got a customer? And again, we monitor all those different channels once our auditors have bought, to see what you do next. I'm not quite sure what Liam Neeson's doing up there. I think I just was having a bit of fun. So what issues do we have here with customer service and relationships? No order confirmation messages. People expect order confirmation messages. No thank you for ordering. Please say thank you. They've ordered from you. They've taken that choice to order from you. Say thank you. Don't just say thank you online. Say thank you if you're sending them a parcel or a letter or anything else. And if you're doing it continuity, don't just say it in the first one. Keep saying thank you. Too many emails, and too many emails before the product's even received. Until your customer has got some relationship with you, they don't want lots of emails from you. They want to see whether they like what they're getting. And then build the relationship, and don't just send them random emails that mean nothing. They will just bin them. And too many of our auditors, have to make them not opt out of receiving the emails. Customer purchase is ignored in future marketing. We should know better than this, but it is. No notice seems to have been taken of what people buy first time round. There's branding confusion. We had one when we walked in the room today. Direct Wines and Laithwaites. Customers don't know that Direct Wines and Laithwaites are the same company. When we did the audit for Dovetail, that one of their customers was Immediate Media, which used to be BBC magazines, and then they also had somebody else who took the money. So, you know, as a customer shopping for them, you had no idea who you were trying to interact with. And so that causes all sorts of confusions. And return processes, people are happy to buy online, they're happy to buy direct, as long as they can return things if it's a problem. And somebody mentioned Bowden in one of the videos. Bowden are great at this. You have to make it easy to return, because if you don't, people won't buy from you again. And then one of the audits we did, there was no follow-up contact at all. People bought and that was it. They walked off and never got contacted again. How strange, but true. And these are big brands. These are people who should know what they're doing. We produce reports as we go through the audits. As I said, we have alerts for business critical issues. We have an interim report where we'll sit down with the client and say, this is what we found so far. Are there any areas you want us to pursue a bit further? And then the final report will summarise all of the journeys. And as our auditors go through the journeys, they write down what they've done. They take snapshots of the websites that they're going through. They take pictures of things as they get delivered. We also have vox pops of them. So they produce very long, thick journeys saying this, you know, I started here, I did this, and these are all the steps that then happened. So you can look at that person's journey. You can see when they did what, at what time, of what day, what they've done, what they've seen. It's very, very granular and detailed. And you get all of that information. Then we summarize all of that and say, right, these are the big issues that we found. And coming out of that, we will then give you very clear and actionable recommendations. I've never liked researchers who give you loads of stuff and say, right, that's what we found, and walk away. Because that doesn't help, does it? You want to know, what should I do with it? And when I was a client, I used to get really annoyed when that happens. So we try and say, right, this is what we found, and this is what we think you should do to help. And most of our clients then do implement fairly wide-ranging reviews of what's been found from our audits. And usually we'll go back, depends what kind of business cycles they're on, 6 to 12 months later, and redo the audit to see if things have improved. And it does make you feel great when you realise that they have done things that you then said. So we're focused on improving the customer experience, but also the customer's bottom line. Because if you make customer experience better, your bottom line will improve. So I just wanted to give you a few outcomes from our audits. It's difficult because lots of this is very highly business confidential and we're not allowed to talk about it. But complaints for one company fell by 80%. For another, outbound revenue increased by 25% in the first year. Inbound revenue increased, that was really by cross-selling. Online, offline marketing teams are integrated. It still shocks me how many clients have separate marketing teams for online and offline. And that led to integrated campaigns. I know it's difficult to allocate spend, but you just have to live with it. And another updated website, and they updated their website so their online journey improved. When I was presenting to KPMG, they said to me, okay, we kind of understand customer experience is important, but you know, just tell me how important is it? Because we were talking about the interaction that they have in their key audit meetings. And I said, okay, this is qualitative research. It's difficult for me to give you a quant number for that. But I can tell you that for every audit that we've done, 60% of our auditors would never have got to the buy point if we hadn't made them. So when they start, we say, look, you're going to start, this is the kind of journey you're going to follow, but follow your nose, but you have to buy, because if they don't buy, obviously we can't see what happens after that. So we make them get to the buy point. 60% have said, I'd have given up. I just never would have bought from them. And that's really interesting. And so I said to KPMG, okay, let's say you're better than most of my clients, and you only lose 40% of people because of what happens as part of the experience in trying to contact you via your website, trying to set up meetings, the people that go round those meetings, it's not just the key partners. Let's say it's only 40% that you lose. You can tell me what that's worth to you. And they went, oh yeah, okay. That's quite important then. It is important. It's really important to know that people don't get to the buy point because they can't. Their journey is so hard they can't get there. Experience is important. This is my quote, really. Organisations don't experience their own products and services and so don't understand the issues their customers face. And David made a very kind point at the beginning, which is that, I mean, I always mystery shop my own businesses, but it's very hard to do your own business because you always know something's happened. Oh yeah, the website wasn't quite right, or you know, the person who runs the contact centre's on holiday, or whatever. You make excuses. It's much better to use objective external people because we'll use auditors that we bring in from outside and they're normal customers, and then you will get a real view of your business. Mahatma Gandhi, this really is a quote from Mahatma Gandhi because I do check it every time, and it really is a quote from him. A customer is the most important visitor on our premises. He is not dependent on us. We are dependent on him. He is not an interruption in our work. He is the purpose of it. He is not an outsider in our business. He is part of it. We are not doing him a favour by serving him. He is doing us a favour by giving us an opportunity to do so. And maybe some of us as marketers would be better to carry this around with us than some of the data stuff that we do. And finally, it's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the ones most responsive to change. And having been in direct marketing for 30 odd years, I think this switch from us being able to do what we wanted to our customers to them owning that relationship is one of the biggest changes that we've seen. And if we ignore it, we, like so many other organisations out there, will go out of business. That's it. Thank you.